I play Minecraft far more than the average human. In fact, if you see a photo of me in real life, you may notice my head is actually quite square, which leads me to believe I was built for this. Now, this wealth of Minecraft knowledge that I have floating around in my brain is useful. I mean, there's some of it's useful, some of it isn't. In fact, a lot of it isn't useful, but today's video is not about the non-useful stuff, okay? It's about the useful stuff, and I'm going to share with you the useful stuff. 25 of the useful... You know what? Let's just get on with the video. First of the useful stuff. Scaffolding is a tiny bit broken. Now, I'm currently playing on a Minecraft server because it's easy to do on one of those, but this does actually work in single player. If I double place a piece of scaffolding at the end here, you can see we've ended up with a floating bit. Now, that shouldn't happen. The game knows this shouldn't happen, and this block doesn't actually exist. If I update this block, the old one disappears, but I can actually build from it. So I can get a kind of floating magic carpet of scaffolding, which allows me to access areas that I wouldn't have previously been able to access. Oh, and if you're wondering what happens if I break it, as soon as I pick up a piece of scaffolding, I get all of the previous bits of scaffolding back. It's very strange. Is that useful? It might be useful for some people. Anyway, let's move on to the next useful thing. Now, I'm sure pretty much all of you are familiar with the F3 and N trick, allowing you to transition between the previous game mode you were in and spectator mode, but now in Minecraft 1.16, we have F3 and F4. So if you hold down F3 and tap F4, it will bring up this little menu, and then you can go into whatever game mode you like. Adventure mode, that sounds fun. I love not being able to break blocks, it's fantastic. For anyone who watches the Hermitcraft series, this one's going to be pretty familiar. It's a fairly well-known fact that the best way to travel long distances in the overworld is actually by using the Nether. Because every block that you travel in the Nether, you travel 8 blocks in the overworld. But the issue is, the Nether's a scary place. You know, there's ghasts, there's lava lakes, there's hoglins, there's piglins, there's wither skeletons, there's blaze, there's magma cubes, there's all sorts of things that want to kill you. So when I place my Nether portals in the Nether, I like to skip all of that and just place them above it. All I have to do is find a piece of bedrock that is at y equals 127, place a couple of ladders, shoot an ender pearl, and I'm through to the top. It's that easy. Then I can chuck my Nether portals down, link them up as normal, and I don't have to deal with any of that nonsense. And if you're really smart, you can actually break the bedrock. I'll put a few links down in the description if you're interested. This one's a bit of a weird one, but bear with me. The other day I was doing a build that had an ender chest underneath a shulker box, and I was really upset to find that I couldn't actually open my chest because the shulker box was blocking it. But then I found out if I open up the shulker box, close it, and then quickly open up the chest, it works. So, I mean, for the 4 people who are watching this who have had this situation before, congratulations, you've got a solution. In fact, please let me know down in the comment section if you've ever run into that problem. I expect 0 comments. When using a respawn anchor, the first block that it attempts to respawn you on is 4 blocks underneath the respawn anchor, and then in the northwesterly direction. That means that you can set up systems like this that actually replenish your respawn anchor. So if I kill myself here, you can see I'll respawn on top of this pressure plate here, which will activate the redstone, dispensing some glowstone into this thing so it doesn't lose any charge. And of course, you don't have to stop there. You can create entire quick revive systems that will kit you back out with armor, get you sorted with all sorts of things. I mean, this is incredibly satisfying to use, I'm going to be honest with you. This next one seems counterintuitive, but trust me, in Minecraft 1.16, fire resistance is actually useful in creative mode. Not in the traditional sense, in that you don't die in lava. Obviously, that's not going to happen in creative mode. But instead, it allows you to see just a little bit further. And that is everything. As someone who has built a lot of automatic bridge builders that involve placing blocks under lava, this extra little bit of sight really, really helps. But there's this one extra tip that I want to give you that is even more useful. Unfortunately, this only really works in creative mode because it needs the use of the teleport command. But I've found the perfect Y value for being able to see in lava. I mean, look at this. Look, I can look at all the basalt, I can look at all the blackstone, I can see everything super clearly. It is 1,000,000 times better than this. I mean, what is that? Even with fire resistance, I can't see my own face. I'm zooming into my own face right now, I can't see a thing. Now, obviously, this 30.27 value only applies to lava lakes, but I'm sure if you wanted to build somewhere else, you could kind of just fiddle around a little bit. Just let it be known, okay, that there is a Y value that you can teleport to where your eyes are just above the lava, like that, and it allows you to see through it. Anyway, let's pop out of the Nether for a second. If you want to search for a type of block as opposed to a specific block, then you can use the hash symbol, and that will allow you to pull up all of the things that fall into that category. For example, log. Here are all the logs. Now let's pop back into the Nether for a second. If you're working on a project that requires lots of magma blocks, for example, you know, just off the top of my head, a super efficient gold farm that's built above the nether, that relies on looting and gives you 45,000 items per hour, Hermitcraft Season 7 Episode 32. As I say, you know, just off the top of my head, nothing specific. Then the best way to get them definitely isn't through exploring through the nether and spotting them as you go along, it's actually through strip mining. Get yourself to around about y equals 30 or below, just start breaking blocks, and eventually you'll run into massive veins of them. This is how I got the many thousands required for the gold farm that I built in Hermitcraft Season 7 Episode 32. Once again, this was just off the top of my head. Right, that's enough promotion of that Hermitcraft episode you should watch. Let's move on to the next one. You can now place redstone components on top of the backs of pistons that are facing downwards, which is definitely a tongue twister, but it does work, and they can be powered, and they can be depowered, and everything stays in place. It used to be that these things would break, but that is no longer the case, which gives you plenty of options for compacting your redstone contraptions. Sadly, if we try it out for sideways facing pistons, unfortunately, yeah, this sort of thing happens. One day I'm sure Mojang will finally give it to us. Now, for anyone who watched Hermitcraft Season 7 Episode 33, you'll be familiar with this one. Can the shameless self-promotion of Hermitcraft episodes become a running joke? Because I personally think it can. When it comes to crafting things up, this is a bit of a slow method for doing things. I much prefer to use the technique fondly known as auto-crafting. In my inventory here, I've got all of the blocks that I want to actually craft up, and I've left my hotbar empty, so I can fill that up, and then all I have to do is this. Just a whole lot of shift clicking, my hotbar refills with the items on the floor, and I can just quickly make my way through this, filling up my inventory with blocks of gold. This is satisfying. Now, I want to issue a bit of a retraction here. In the previous episode of 25 Tips for Minecraft, I said that scaffolding is useless and instead you should use slime blocks. And I just want to say, I might have been slightly wrong. Scaffolding is actually, yeah, it's quite a good block. But I'm not throwing my slime blocks out the window just yet. Alright, I still think we should use them, but only occasionally. Use slime blocks all the time until you run out of space with them. They start dropping off the end. That's when I'd say it's time to deploy the slime blocks, and then you can start building up a new strip from there. Because then when you're done with this scaffolding tower, you can then break the slime block instantly, even in survival mode, and then you can just go back to dismantling everything. It's a good balance, okay? Scaffolding people are happy, slime block people are happy, everyone's happy. I absolutely hate phantoms. In fact, I'm going to take great pleasure watching this one burn. Burn! Why are you not? Thank you! I got scared then. And the worst part is I voted for these things. I voted for them to be in the game. And I told other people to vote for them. It's one of the worst things I've ever done in my life. I think about it daily. The good thing is you can stop them from spawning by just AFKing with a solid block above your head. As long as it doesn't let any light through it, no phantoms are going to spawn. Finding netherite is difficult, but it can be made a lot easier using this technique that was shown off by Nembomb. Essentially, you place a bed at the end of a 5-long tunnel, make sure that there's 3 blocks between you and the bed, right-click on the bed, and I mean, I've got no armor on. And that did no damage, and I found some ancient debris! Look at that! And actually, staying on the topic of Minecraft 1.16 things, when you generate a new Minecraft world, you now have the option to toggle the game rules before the world is generated. This is something that I used to do using the game rule command, but now it's gotten a lot easier. I tend to just go down to here, go down to world updates, advance in-game time off. That means it's always going to be day. I'm going to turn off fire tick so that my wool doesn't catch fire when I inevitably place it too close to lava. Update weather off, because no one likes the rain, and that's good enough. And now we go from Minecraft 1.16 to something very old school. This feels like an old-fashioned tip. It used to be that people navigated in Minecraft making use of the cobblestone texture. There was some part of the texture that pointed in a certain direction, and people could navigate off of that. Now we can just make use of the sunflower. Sunflowers always point east, even in the nether. So if you don't want to invest in one of those fancy new netherite compasses, whatever they are, then one of these will do, sort of. I mean, it's probably not quite as good as it. When playing in creative mode, dealing with mobs is a bit of a pain in the backside because you never have a sword on you, so then you have to go and search for one. It doesn't have any enchantments on it, so it doesn't really do a good job at killing things. That's embarrassing because it killed it instantly. I have a better solution though, and it's this command right here. Give Mumbo strength for a very long time at level 255. It means I can chuck away my sword and I can just punch things to death. They die instantly. Everything dies instantly at my hand. It's fantastic. I want to make that command even better, have hide particles as true, because the particles are really annoying. So I've got this horse, right? I really like this horse. He's my favourite horse. He's fast, he jumps really high. I just really like him. I want to make a clone of him. All I have to do is press F3 and I, and it will copy that exact entity data into my clipboard. And there we go. Exactly the same. Same colour, same everything. Everything's exactly the same. Now, this doesn't just apply to horses, it applies to anything in Minecraft that has MBT data. So you can copy pistons, you can copy chests, you can copy villagers with trays that you like, you can copy TNT with a certain charge time left. I mean, you know, F3 and I. experiment with it. Once again, for anyone who watches my Hermitcraft series, you'll be very familiar with this one. As I'm sure many of you already know, I like to build with randomized block palettes. I like to mix in different but very similar blocks together to add a little bit of texture to walls. Now, you can do this by just kind of gradually doing it manually, but I'd say the best way to do it is to fill up your hotbar and just scroll really hard on your scroll wheel and let you randomly select throughout. I'm just keeping my scroll wheel going while right-clicking. Now, if you don't have a mouse like mine that can have a freewheeling scroller, then there are actually programs that allow you to do this. I'd suggest Googling them because they might also save you breaking your mouse. My mouse is gradually breaking. This one is something I've only just recently done. There are certain items that you occasionally need when playing in creative mode that are just a bit of a pain in the backside. The best example of this for me is name tags, because you need to go search for name tags. Okay, got those. Then you need to get yourself an anvil. Okay, got that. And now I can rename my name tag. It's a pain in the backside. What you need to do is you need to save a hotbar that is filled with all the annoying stuff that you very occasionally need, and then you can have access to it immediately. Absolute efficiency. Over my entire lifetime, that's going to save me minutes. Minutes, I tell you. And actually, on the topic of saving time, going through to the Nether, once again, bit annoying in creative mode because, of course, you have to go get obsidian, then you have to get yourself a flint and steel. It's horrible. Set block. The old squiggly things. Portal. Nether portal. Boom. Straight through. Right the way in there. Now, it's not quite as easy to spot as another portal, you know, especially if you're looking at it in this direction. But, I mean, it's cool. There is a chance that this one is super ridiculously obvious, but I feel like I should say it because I don't see this mentioned anywhere in the controls. I don't see it mentioned anywhere in the creative mode inventory or anything like that. You see this little cross down in the bottom right hand corner? Obviously, you can drag items into it, they'll get destroyed, but if you hold shift and click it, it clears your entire inventory. I'm sure there's at least one person out there who is watching this, who's been playing Minecraft for years and has never known that. I hope that's the case, because otherwise I've wasted everyone's time, and that's embarrassing. And actually, this one could be a little bit obvious too. I'm rounding up the video with two obvious ones, I do apologise. Anyway, if you put a netherite block inside your shulker box, then if it falls into lava, it doesn't actually get broken. Give it a test yourselves, let me know how it goes. I'm sure you've already done that. Quite loudly, in multiple capital letters, I imagine. But anyway, I really do hope that you've enjoyed this little video. It's been a lot of fun to create, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya! I do often wonder how many people try out the ones that I feature at the end of the video. You know, in the previous version of this, I told people that they could fly through a wall if they flew at it fast enough. Oh, the comments for that were interesting. I can't remember when I even started doing that. It's been a while, though. It's been a very long time. I think it's been like 5 or 6 years. Yeah.